Let's welcome Charmie Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When I first met my husband in Kuwait, he said I could be mistaken as Mexican. When I came here in the US, people couldn't tell. Some will say I'm from Malaysia, some will say from Korea. While working in Burger King, a young boy about age of 8 approached me if I knew Kung Fu. He thought I was Chinese. People would react either negatively or positively in these stereotype comments. But I would just smile, because the truth is, I am the product of all those countries that they thought I was. This is my history, this is my culture. Today we are going to a place not too many of you are familiar with. This is the country of the Philippines. It is a group of islands located in the other part of the world, small. And it will take about 18 hours non-stop flight from US to Philippines. According to the World Fact Book of the CIA website, Philippines has 7,107 islands, lying opposite of Vietnam. It is an archipelago between Philippine Sea and South China Sea. Philippines is the world's largest archipelago next to Indonesia, according to the Biodiversity Hotspot website about Philippines. The U.S. Department of State website states that there are 4 phases of the Philippine history: the pre-Spanish period, the Spanish period, the American period, and the post-independence period. Before 1521 was the pre-Spanish period. The first people were the Negritos. Then came the Malays. Malays were from Indonesia and Malaysia who came to the Philippines in successive waves, through land bridges and later by boats. Then came the Chinese. They were merchants and traders who came in through ships of Arab traders. Malays remained the dominant group until Spanish arrived in the 16th century, which is the pre-Spanish period, the Spanish period. The Spanish period began in 1521 to 1898. That was 377 years of Philippine colonization by the Spanish government. In the World Book Encyclopedia about Philippines, James Putzel states that the Spain ruled the Philippines under the Viceroy of Mexico. Viceroy was the representative of king or queen. Viceroy was the representative of king or queen who rules for another country. But why did Spain involve Mexico to be the Viceroy in the Philippines? Because the World Book Encyclopedia about Mexico, Jurgen Buchinau, states that the Mexico fell to the Spanish government from 1521 to 1821. That makes them the Viceroy of the Philippines. During this period, there is a significant migration between Spanish North Americans and Philippines. It is a period of conversion to Christianity and the development of economy and government. Filipinos became slaves and laborers in their own land. Learning and education was prohibited. This causes a 2-year revolution against Spain, led by a Filipino-Chinese named Emilio Aguinaldo. It ended when the Americans came in 1898. In 1898, the Americans declared war against Spain. The U.S. Navy defeated the Spanish fleet in Manila Bay, and the event started the American period in the Philippines. The American period starts from 1898 to 1946. That was 48 years of Philippine government under the shadow of the U.S. According to the PhilippineHistory.org website about the Spanish-American War, Spain was paid $20 million to leave the Spain colony to the U.S., which include Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico, under the Treaty of Paris. Emilio Aguinaldo, the Filipino-Chinese, he resists the US government. He declared war against them in 1899, but he got captured after 3 years and he swore alliance to US. Then came the American teachers and soldiers who started literacy in the Philippines. They created a strong public education system in the Philippines. In 1935, the US started to prepare a 10-year transition to independence for the Philippines, but it was interrupted by a Japanese attack in 1941. The US surrendered the Philippines to Japan, but then they came back in 1945, led by General Douglas MacArthur. He's an American, and freed the Philippines from Japan. And then Americans continue a 10-year transition to independence, which ended in 1946. US left the Philippines as an independent country in good terms. Despite of the gained independence and freedom from US, the chaos within the country grew, resulting to civil uprisings and religious conflict caused by Muslim rebel groups against Christians, which threatened the Philippine Constitution. This is the beginning of the post-independence period from 1946 to present. This chaos gave President Ferdinand Marcos the opportunity to declare martial law. Martial law is a rule suspending the power of judicial, legislative, and executive branches of the government. It is meant to be temporary, but it lasted for 14 years until a civilian military uprising in 1986. Ferdinand Marcos, the president, he fled the country, making Corazon Aquino to win the snap election as the new Philippine president. Currently, she had a son named Benigno Aquino III, and he is now the Philippine president. And that was the 4 phases of the Philippine history. Let me summarize my point. Philippines is an archipelago of 7,107 islands that lacks central government and education system, making it vulnerable to Spain. Spain started a government system but prohibits literacy and education. US won the Spanish-American War and took Philippines from Spain, establishing a strong educational system. Japan attacked Philippines, causing US to surrender and left. US came back in 1945 and freed the Philippines after a year. I could say that the Philippine historical culture was influenced by migration, Chinese merchants, the colonization of the Spain, Japan, and US. These factors explain the origin of the tradition, values, and beliefs of the Filipinos in terms of religion, government, and education system. This is my history. This is my culture. Thank you.